Something absolutely insane just happened, and no, this is not my speculation. New dialogues as well as a new cinematic confirmed that Xal'atath's plan really was, and that was to distract us and use the darkwell to channel thousands of her void followers directly into the World Soul Chamber. This might also tie in with what Ny'alotha was building in Ny'alotha, which is why she attacked him in the first place, and it might also explain why we just datamined a void version of Ny'alotha, a new model. All this seems like 12.2 content that will probably be fully announced on Blizzcon this year together with the last Titan. So what is about to happen now won't be foreshadowing. We are probably already going to see the Titans coming by the time of 12.2, and looks like Xal'atath is finally completing her plan. No longer just talking and foreshadowing, she is going all in. So what is everything we just learned? Warhammer, Red Dead Redemption, WoW Game Time, Destiny, you can get all of this at amazing prices with my link in the description below. You also got mobile top-ups, software, a bunch more with the best prices on the market. Better yet, if you use my code DORON, you will get another discount on top, so click the link in the description and get the best deals ever at Gamivo. So something that was pretty obvious from the start just fully happened, and I think we might finally know what is going to happen in 12.2, and I think this is a huge turning point for Midnight, as I think we can, with pretty good accuracy, predict what is going to happen in The Last Titan and why the Titans may return. Unfortunately, something really weird happened as well, and I don't want to spoil much here, but literally they just wrapped up the entire long-anticipated Elven reunion in literally a single patch, and it was barely even a storyline. And once again, it's a whole let's just hug it out and work together storyline, but there were also some cinematics that you might have missed, which are huge reveals, and actually potentially the biggest story information, as for the past 3 years, Xal'atath has just been foreshadowing a foreshadowing to foreshadow a foreshadow, but I think what we speculated about in the past has finally been confirmed. So just as we had predicted, the invasion of Xal'ataths was obviously not the main goal. It appears that the main reason she even targeted the Sunwell was because of the ley line connection, so that she could get to the World Soul, and this honestly makes complete sense. I mean, it was never about Xal'ataths or taking over the Elven Kingdom or destroying them. It was always about the Sunwell being used as a means to an end. Now, if you guys can observe the new Sylvanas cinematic, you can actually see the darkwell channel behind her, but if you pause at right sections of the video, you will see that this is not just like a void fount of energy. I mean, you can see that she's literally transporting the void army and channeling them down directly at the World Soul, and it literally just happened in plain sight. I mean, we think we won, we defended Xal'ataths, but her plan is completely on point. Like, in no way was she actually defeated. The goal from the start was to just hijack the Sunwell, fill it with void energy, and use it as like a giant laser teleportation beam to reach the true goal, which is obviously the World Soul. Now, so that you don't think this is my speculation and seeing things where there are no things, I mean, there is literally a cinematic with Romet and Umbrek that happens after the entire creation of the Dawnwell and the cleansing of the Darkwell, where they say this outright, and not like some twisted sentence where you can extrapolate that maybe this is her goal. Like, they just say this outright. They say, sure, we cleansed it, but we were completely duped. Did you realize that the Void Army was moving down through it into the deep underground? Thousands and thousands of void monstrosities channeled down into the deep underground of Azeroth, and then for some reason they wonder what could Xal'atath potentially seek at the heart of the world. I mean, they realize that she just used them to get to the heart of the world, and they exclaim that at the end they fear that the true invasion is about to begin. So literally you just got a full new cinematic that confirms this. Now, it's pretty obvious that this was the goal from the start, as we're literally in part 2 of the saga called the World Soul Saga, not the Sunwell Saga. And I'm also kind of surprised that these guys are surprised themselves that Xal'atath is after the World Soul, when that was kind of pretty obvious from the start. Furthermore, there is another cinematic mentioning the Radiant Song and Beledar, so honestly at this point it seems pretty obvious that Midnight is going to end at the Chamber of the World Soul, or it is going to have something to do with the World Soul itself, like some sort of a transformation. So far it seems like we might just mess around in Xal'ataths a little bit more with the Amani Troll patch, potentially the Forsaken patch, and Sylvanas, but the main story is probably going to be put on pause right now. It's pretty obvious that 12.1 is going to be over by Blizzcon, when they're going to announce 12.2 and The Last Titan at the same time, which is almost certainly going to involve the Sword of Sargeras and the World Soul, and it will explain why we will go to Northrend. I don't think Midnight is going to really have an ending. I mean, she's going to do something absolutely crazy in 12.2 and they're going to announce the expansion with it, so we are going to know that we need to go to Northrend, but first we're going to have to deal with this. If you guys have watched my channel in the past, I've talked about the midnight ending right around Xal'ataths and the sword, which, as they told us, is a 13.0 thing, meaning that it could be a thing that is going to lead into the last titan. Now, what is going to happen here is honestly just kind of hard to predict, whether she's just pumping the world soul filled with the void or she's doing something else like trying to destroy the chamber. What is 100% certain is that Xal'atath is now in the heart of Azeroth with a giant void army that she managed to successfully channel down there. In my opinion, I think this is going to play into the entire Ny'alotha storyline, and here a few things to keep in mind, few bits of evidence. Remember the cinematic and the storyline from the War Within that showed how Xal'atath attacked Ny'alotha and the old gods because Ny'alotha was building something in Ny'alotha. Then in 12.0.5 we literally datamined Ny'alotha's model, but a void version of Ny'alotha's model. So with these two things in mind, I don't think it's hard to predict that this will somehow play into Xal'atath's plan. As we know, we still haven't seen the true Ny'alotha, and we don't even know the true location of Ny'alotha, but I'm guessing Ny'alotha was building something around the world soul, maybe to take it for himself, and Xal'atath attacked him because she wanted to take it for herself instead. Then the old gods almost managed to get Azeroth after they defeated Xal'atath, but then the Titans came in the last moment and took over, and even they failed near the end. So now Xal'atath has been free and she's going to come to do what she wanted to do in like the ages past. When the Titans realize that Xal'atath is about to take over Azeroth, they're probably going to come to the main base of operations, which is Ulduar and Northrend, and that is when everything is going to happen. Everything is going to go down. The only thing that I kind of can't seem to figure out yet, to wrap my head around, is how this is going to play into Xal'ataths and the Sword of Sargeras, but I think that this is going to be connected to Illidan and Sargeras that we know are going to return in the next expansion. However, the data so far that we know is that Xal'atath just swindled us around and used the Sunwell to distract us while she teleports her main entire Void army into Azeroth's World Soul. Whether she's going to use the Void forces to break the Titan prison of Azeroth or to actually corrupt it, it's honestly hard to tell. I mean, it's obvious that she's going to trigger something really bad. It also now makes sense why Harandar is in this expansion, despite the fact that we know it was moved from the War Within. It's all going to be connected to what they just said, and that is going deep underground. Probably a bit of a shifted timeline, as this should have probably already happened in the War Within, and it might have foreshadowed why she even went to the Sunwell in the first place. So right now the lore is kind of all over the place, but the pieces do seem to finally be falling into place and making sense. So looks like around Blizzcon this year, and after 12.1, WoW is finally going to start picking things up, and it is going to get hot. I mean, no longer just the hand holding, the preparing, the Xal'atath giving us her 20th villain speech about how we have no idea about her plans. Looks like all the foreshadowing is finally going to unravel. All the years of foreshadowing, and we may be in for some really interesting new lore. Thanks for watching. Check out my video on how the Void just hijacked a part of the Scourge by clicking on the screen, and check out my brand new Witcher lore channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.